Prabhuji, I'm going to ask you a few questions where I feel that a larger audience of people across the world understand of it, because how Prabhupada ji was sent to America. So he was not just communicating with Indians at the time. His reach was to the world, and the purpose is to bring the text to the world, because of the text by far is got all the answers to everyone's life. It is a way of life. It is a tool that is good for all. And it had its sanctity thousands of years ago. It's had its sanctity now, and it will always have the sanctity in the future. To me, when it talks about the Bhagavad Gita, I look at it things that I can do, things I can improve, things my atmosphere in my home would improve, my family, my workplace. It is almost like a tool which strengthens my intellect. My emotions come down and my balance rises. So throwing light on that, I'd really like your input on how you feel when a child is conceived and the mother is going through her own challenges, be it a person who is in India, in Iraq, or in America. At Pragya, we believe in one world. What should be the bhav, the intent, how the environment of this mother and this child which is in the womb should be?
So actually in the Bhagavatam it is said that the consciousness of the mother at that time should be fully spiritual. By adopting this Navada Bhakti, Prahlad Maharaj has given this Navada Bhakti of Shravana, Kirtana, Vishnu Smarana, Pada Sevanam, Dasyare, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. So this is a ninefold devotional service by chanting, by reading, by darshan, by kirtan, by prasada. So we should be drowned in that consciousness.
Would you be able to explain this in a common man's term? Kirtan, what does that mean?
Kirtan means chanting the names of the Lord and singing the names of the Lord.
So be in a happy and a joyful place and mood?
Yes.
Yes?
The mood is, the consciousness is, by chanting it is giving the pleasure to the Lord.
Right.
So when you give pleasure to the Lord, He will give pleasure you back. The pleasure is not independent. When you give Krishna pleasure, you will get the pleasure back. If you minus Krishna, that pleasure is very flickering pleasure, very temporary pleasure. So we are not interested in that temporary. We are interested in permanent, long-lasting pleasure, and that is Krishna's pleasure.
What about the food we eat?
Food is recommended to eat the sattvic food.
Sattvic and
the mode of goodness.
Goodness.
Like vegetables, the fruits, the juicy, all the cereals, pulses, ghee, sugar, salt, all this vegetarian food with love and devotion we cook and we offer to the Lord, and Lord just by glancing on the food makes that as prasada.
Right.
Because the vegetable also has a life, and if you directly eat, you will get the karma. Same thing you offer to the Lord with love and devotion, He removes the karma, showers the mercy, and when you eat the mercy, you are purifying your heart. This is the concept of prasada.
So would you say the way we cook the food and the way we serve the food and consume it, by doing a prayer on it, it will change its molecular energy, and perhaps when we consume that, we have consumed something which of sanctity?
Yes. So it's written that whatever you eat, God says, make me eat first, then you eat.
Okay.
So it's a blessings. It's a blessed food. The full bright consciousness, the full so much deliciousness is there. And we consume that, we nourish that. It is a food for the soul as well as the body. That is called Mahaprasada. So that kind of food is the best food for the pregnant mother. Because it is nourishing the child also, mother also, both they will benefit.
So you would say sanskars are built in the womb itself.
Yes.
And when you talk about the kirtan, the chanting, and a nice atmosphere, and while cooking, the bhav, the intent is spiritual, it is calm. And when we consume the food, should we be calm or rushing it?
We should eat in the consciousness that is a remnants of the Lord. It is a jutta of the Lord. So in that consciousness I am eating, this is the mercy of the Lord. So this is the consciousness while eating the food. Should not eat only just for filling the belly. So this is the blessing of the Lord is come in the form of Mahaprasadam and I'm consuming for enrichment.
At times like this, meditation, when we sit in silence and we are concentrating on the breath, how does that impact the child as per the Bhagavad Gita?
So in that case, we remember the Lord. Thus meditation is the third aspect of the Navda Bhakti, Vishnu Smaran, thus thinking, meditating on the form of the Lord. So that is a great meditation. So that consciousness is going in the newborn baby, and that will create the good spiritual impact on the baby.
As an organization, do you feel these sanskaras have not reached out to generations, especially the new generations, people who are staying abroad? Their children are very disconnected to India, to their own land, to their ancestral land. What's your biggest advice and your biggest challenge with them?
So there is a great need to spread the message, but by the influence of Kali Yuga, we are facing these challenges. But we are not giving it up. We go to schools, we go to colleges, we go to universities, we go to everywhere, we go to corporates, businessmen, and we give this message of Bhagavad Gita. Because this message is not a foreign message, this message is there within, but it is covered by the curtain of illusion. We are not able to see things as they are in the right perspective. So when you chant, when you read, it is uncovering the curtain of illusion and you are able to see the reality in the right perspective. You will be able to see the thing as they are. This is the mission of this Hare Krishna movement.
Like you just mentioned that either ways, these were planned, or let's say they were expected changes or challenges that the world was going to face. Having said that, your dedication, devotion, consistency, patience has been something that you're still working in spreading this light.
Because the people of Kali Yuga, by default, they are mand, sumand, matyo, mand, bhagya, upadrita. They are dull, crazy, quarrelsome, hypocrite, and above that, they are always disturbed. So our target is to meet these kind of people.
But at Pragya, my question to you is, why are they like this?
This is the nature of Kali Yuga. The biggest obstacle is, I am thinking I am the enjoyer, which you are not. You are a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. But when you think I am the master, I am the lord of all the things I survey, so that is the main obstacle which is creating a big wall between the Lord and yourself. So we want to break that wall, this wall of false ego, this bodily concept of life. You are not the body, but this conception is there. I am Indian, I am Chinese, I am Japanese, I am this, I am that. It's all the false misconception. We have to kick them out.
Every country, every land has its own weather, its own soil, its own languages it develops. And that doesn't define us for who we are. What we are is pure consciousness. And in pure consciousness, our journey is to, whether we accept it or not, is to reunite. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about the body, a little bit more about the mind, and a little bit more about the breath. We are what we consume and digest. When we know as human beings, we are unable to digest a foreign body such as a meat because it's a living organism. Also, we know by doing that we are killing and creating a terrible karma. Thirdly, we are completely aware that that meat has gone through suffering, and the suffering has been so intense that the emotion of the meat came out in its texture or its skin, in its body, and we're actually consuming it. Do you think this awareness needs to rise because we are what we eat?
Yes.
And that impacts our mind? And one of the causes for mental health issues amongst children, amongst parents, amongst the world is the food that we are consuming.
Yes. In scripture we say, Jaisa an vaisa man. What kind of food you take, your consciousness will be like that. So, this meat eating, Bhagavatam says 6 people are involved.
Okay.
The first person is the person who is killing that. Second person who is taking that meat and taking it in the market. Third person who is advertising that meat. Fourth person who is selling that meat. Fifth person who is cooking that meat, and sixth person is eating. All the 6 people are equally responsible for killing the animal. All 6 people are equally get the karma of the killing the animal.
It's amazing how you throw light on this, because the way I see it as well, I mean, if back in the days when I was a non-vegetarian eater, if I was to go and literally kill a chicken, first I would have to capture it, and it's not that easy to catch it, and then I would have had to skin it, and then bring it in its blood form, bring it to my kitchen, chop it into pieces, and then cook it and consume it. So the whole process is so heartbreaking, but the supermarkets in the world, it comes in clean packets and it's more sellable, and everything is marketed about protein. I think there's protein in vegetables. What do you think?
Scripture says when you are killing the animal, you cannot kill every day. You take the animal in the forest on the day of Amavasya, in the dead of the night, and in the forest, in that animal's ear, you tell that next life I am going to become you and you will kill me. On that promise you are killing.
At Pragya, we just want you to be aware of your actions. We cannot tell you what to do. At the end of the day, it's really your decision, it's your consciousness. We are only going to bring in what the body is made out of, and the body does not require things that are not suitable for its thought process, its own being, its own longevity, its own medicinal reasons, for several reasons how we think. One of the reasons why we're not able to think is because we have overloaded ourselves with meat, with non-veg, with terrible thoughts come out of that, and then we crib, why are we so unhappy? Prabhuji, we discussed the food.
Yes.
Do you think this food impacts our mind? And when it impacts our mind, our thoughts are created, and those thoughts cause agitation, and that agitation becomes our nature, and then that nature becomes a vibrational energy of the being, of the person, and that vibration is then shared with the other one's vibration, and then it becomes a collective vibration. Currently, this vibration is extremely intense in the Kali Yuga, or to speak, in today's world.
It is very nicely answered in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I am going to read that. Krishna is speaking in 2nd chapter, how this is a vicious circle. One after another it goes and we fall down in the whirlpool of material existence. So I'll just read that. It is the 2nd chapter, 62nd verse. It's written, while contemplating the objects of the senses. When I'm seeing the object, so I'm started contemplating on that. When I started meditating on some sense object, what happens? The attachment arises. I start developing attachment with that. And this, I'm not getting that Attachment is there. What happens? Lust develops. Lust arises. And the lust is not satisfying. Anger arises. And from anger, it comes delusion. And moha, you are developing that moha, delusion. And after that delusion, there is a bewilderment of memory. And after bewilderment of memory, my buddhi nasha. My intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, I am again drowned in the whirlpool of birth and death. Vicious circle of birth and death.
Amazing.
Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. This is a vicious circle. One after another, you are drowning like that.
So let's say one of the things we're going to look at is right now, just the example that we were using was the meat eating. So it just like keeps rotating, it's like almost like a whirlpool of energy that you keep consuming, and then you keep behaving like, and then comes the anger, then comes the lust, and then comes the same cycle repetitive in the morning or the next day or the following day. At the time of sunset, we want to overindulge. Does it have anything to do with the Vedas? Like, has it thrown light on what happens after sunset?
That is a time of tamoguna, mode of ignorance. The tamoguna is prominent at the night time. So all the bad elements start becoming prominent at that time. So person who is not educated in the spiritual histories, he will be victimized by this tamoguna.
So is that the reason why people catch up for drinks that time, and they're indulging, and all infidelity and gambling, etc. is more like a night thing, etc.?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the tamaguna's symptoms of tamoguna. So Krishna says, like in the scripture says, tamasi ma jyotirgama. Don't remain in the darkness, be in the light. Don't in the maya, don't be in the maya, come to Krishna. Don't be in ignorance, come to the knowledge. When you are in knowledge, then you don't do all these bad works, bad activities, nonsense activities. You will be ideal, rightly situated person.
I'm going to ask you something on this. The circadian clock, okay, from when the sun comes out is where the energies are very high. And as the energies, as the sun starts setting and going down, the energies of the day also shift. And that probably is one of the reasons for all the intoxications and the indulgence, etc., etc. I notice a lot of people watch TV and eat food. Children constantly on their gadgets, eating food. Does this impact their mental health?
Yes.
Does this impact their digestive tract? Is there something that the scriptures have already told, mentioned, but we have forgotten its essence and understanding in the last 200 to 300 years?
Because when we are eating, the consciousness I told earlier should be on as the remnants of the Lord I am consuming. If you eat something, you are watching some TV, some movie, some gadgets, some social media, and consciousness is there and you are eating, you are not conscious what you are eating. It is like just throwing in the dustbin like that. So that food will not get digested properly, and consciousness also will not be proper.
To me, I feel that is one of the biggest gifts we can acquire, and that is to live a life for the purpose of what we believe in. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. All my gratitude to you and to Prabhupada ji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.